Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Prestige Perspective. Today's discussion will be on Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've heard about this book for a good while now. I finally had the opportunity to read it. Highly recommend it. And I'm going to discuss a few of the learning lessons that were discussed in the book and try to put my own spin as far as learning lessons that I've been working to put into my life and that were further enhanced from reading this book. So the first thing, the topic, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where did it come from? So the premise for the book is that Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the book, talked about his experience growing up when he was a kid, having a very good friend, and essentially receiving advice in regards to life and how to work and finances from both his own father and from his good friend's father. And the title of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, essentially talks about the mindset behind the two fathers that were raising their kids in the community. And so the mindset for Rich Dad essentially focused on not trading your time for money. If anything, looking to identify the best ways to go out making money. And in the Poor Dad's example, again, taking nothing away from the mindset piece, just in regards to how they thought about finances, the Poor Dad was actually very intelligent and very smart. And if anything, that was the thing that hurt him most, and that he wasn't looking outside of what he knew to try to figure out better ways to do things or a better mindset. And so I work to provide the same lessons for myself and for my son and for family, just making sure that I don't overlook that things are actually the most important. And so within the book, there are 6 lessons. I've wrote them up on the board over here. You can see them. I'll go through them one by one. Come out a little bit. But the first lesson, the rich don't work for money. Let's talk about that one first. So the rich don't work for money. This was a topic I touched upon in one of the previous discussions, but the whole idea is that the rich allow money to work for them. And so you must be thinking, how do I get to that point? If I'm, low on the money that I do have, how can I get from where I am to where I want to be? Well, the first thing is you want to put your energy and your effort not into making money so much as putting your energy and effort into learning. Robert Kiyosaki just really hits this one out of the park as far as you want to learn as much as you possibly can, and you want to learn from the right people. So again, hence Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So he talks about both of the mindsets within the book. And in regards to not working for money, the idea is what can create income for you. And these are in the form of assets. An asset is going to be anything that you own or control that can bring money to you. So in other words, whether you decide to wake up in the morning or sleep in, money's still going to be coming in. So that's sort of the whole idea as far as don't work for money. Create a system that allows money to work for you and allows more money to come in for you. The second lesson we have here is financial literacy. Now, I actually love this one. Financial literacy is really just talking about understanding finances and knowing how money works. Unfortunately, it is one of the biggest gaps that exists within our education system today, because public education and even private education to the same extent were not created to really teach individuals about money. If anything, it teaches you about the ideas and the education around getting and sustaining a job. But when it comes to creating systems that can create income for you, that information is a little bit harder to find. What I found is that I've had to keep digging and digging and digging, and I get in contact with the right people. I get information about a really good book to read, and that sort of helps further solidify the information that I'm able to understand. So if anything, that just means you have to look and find the right people that have had success themselves, and then essentially make sure you surround yourselves with those individuals. The third point that we have is mind your business. This was an interesting one. Mind your business doesn't necessarily refer to going into business for yourself, but it talks about understanding where you are with your life, your goals, just everything. Just knowing your position and your status. And then being able to make decisions that are going to put you in the best possible situation. So in other words, planning, strategizing, figuring out, okay, what comes next? Who do I need to talk to if I don't know this answer? Being resourceful. I think that's probably the best way to characterize mind your own business. But I thought that was a good one, just for the fact that you don't have to be in business to mind your own business. So thought that was a good one there. Fourth, we have taxes and corporations. So if you're looking to make money and you're looking to make more money, sometimes it's not how much you make, but it's how much you get to keep. So taxes are actually really important because, believe it or not, if I'm working a job, I'm going to get taxed higher than someone who owns a business and a company. Doesn't seem like it makes sense, and I know you usually see on the news as far as people getting upset about that, but that's the way the system works. So if the system works that way, why try to work against it and instead work with it? So look for the opportunities where you can create an income for yourself. You can have an asset that's bringing you money, and you're not paying as much in taxes as you would be otherwise. So some examples I know I've talked with my students on my finance class have been real estate. Has been a really, really good vehicle to minimize the taxes that you actually have and while still making an income. And also, if you know how to invest, such as in the stock market, that can bring you some good tides as well. But the biggest thing is you have to have an advantage. Don't just go in blindly or else you're gambling. So know what you're doing, know what's in front of you, and you should be able to knock it out of the park. Number 5, the rich invent money. So this one's pretty good. You usually think of, well, doesn't the government actually create money? No, the rich, you can create money yourself. The way you actually do that is by identifying value. When you identify something that is undervalued and you essentially gain control of that, you can essentially turn that or flip that into a way where you can actually identify the true value. And just in doing that, you've created money. Something that was undervalued is now maybe at the right value, and when you decide to sell it or do whatever you want with it, you've actually gained value, or you've even gained money in the process. So this one you have to think about, because it's not always just trading your time for money. Again, you got to get in a different mindset. You have to look at what is out there that hasn't been created. Like, for example, an inventor comes up with a new invention, or a real estate investor sees a property that was dilapidated and they bring it back so it looks brand new. So you have to look for those opportunities to see what can you do to create something that didn't exist before. You do that, people value it. That's how you create money out of nothing. And last but not least, work to learn. This one's a really good one. This essentially just encapsulates everything as far as all the lessons into sort of one big thing, which is you want to work to learn. You don't want to work for money. You want to work to learn. If you want to get to a point where your time is something that's in your control and you don't have to worry about having to trade it to get something back for it, this is what you want to really make sure you put front and center. Work to learn. Learn as much as you can. And again, that's not always reading books. It's not, just doing one or two things. It's bringing everything together. It's talking to people. It's having a good network. It's also reading books. It's also, learning from the greats out there, and it's combining it and putting it into action. The biggest thing is you have to put it into action. Because if you just learn it and you do nothing with it, it's not going to bring you anything back in return. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Look forward to following up again soon. And enjoy the rest of your day.